Good Monday Matters. I hope you had a great Lord's Day and are looking forward to a good week ahead. Doris and I had a fun weekend. John Michael, my oldest grandson, played in a all-day baseball tournament, and I spent almost all of Saturday at the baseball field watching John Michael play, and that's always fun, and we had a good time. This is Monday Matters. I take a few minutes. Don't know why I do this. Just something I started, I don't know, a couple years ago maybe, and I feel just compelled to take a few minutes and share some thoughts and ideas. Probably I do it because it is more helpful for me than anybody else, but just the discipline of doing it, and so that's why. And today I want to talk about living a life of excellence. Now, I say almost every time I do this, I apologize, and I always say I'm not going to apologize again, but I do. I don't imagine that I have it all figured out. I don't think I have all the answers to this. I don't profess that I have always done whatever I talk about, that I've done it really, really well. But when you've lived almost 70 years, you've been through some stuff. And so I think there are some things that perhaps are helpful to you along the way. And I want to talk today about living a life of excellence, about choosing to live with purpose, intention, value, of living a life of excellence. Faron Young was a country singer. I don't remember one song he sang except this. And I don't know if I even heard the song or I heard somebody talk about it, but it was probably my high school years. So that was a long, long time ago. But there was a refrain in the song that said, "I want to live fast, love hard, die young, and leave a beautiful memory." And that stuck with me. And that has kind of been a mantra of mine. I want to live fast, love hard, die young, and leave a beautiful memory. I don't mean by that I want to have wild parties and drive a big pickup truck and dogs that love me. I don't mean that. I mean, I want to live a life that adds value, that adds worth, and that when I am gone, that people will say the world was a better place because he was here. Doesn't have to be a big better place, but just a little bit better place. And so how do you do that? How do you go about living a life of excellence? I jotted down 5 things that I think are helpful and that I have tried to incorporate, at least over the last 20 years or so in my life. The first one is this: determined to have no unexamined thoughts. Determined to have no unexamined thoughts. If there's anything that I did when I started into recovery 20 years ago that made a difference in my life, more than this, I don't know what it is. As Joyce Meyer said, I began thinking about what I think about. I didn't just let myself surrender to stinking thinking, to negative thinking. I'm depressed. I'm lonely. Nobody loves me. Life will never be good. The old timers used to say you can't keep a bird from landing in your hair, but you can keep it from making a nest. I don't have to dwell on those thoughts. I'm not gonna live with those. So determined to have no unexamined thoughts. That from this moment on, I'm gonna think about what I think about. I do a little quote all week long on Instagram and Facebook, just a one sentence, hopefully inspirational thought that follows along the teaching of Monday. And today's quote is this. I wrote, excellence is not so much an activity as it is a mindset. It's just determining, I'm going to think excellent thoughts instead of thinking the other kind of thoughts. Paul says in Philippians chapter 4, Philippians is one of my favorite little books. Everybody accuses me of whatever book I'm reading, that's my favorite little book. Paul says, verse 8, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about these things. And the implication here is that I can choose what I think about. So, determined to have no unexamined thoughts. Think about what you think about. Here's number 2. Discuss where you're going and where you've been. Discuss where you're going. Now, we all know the value of having goals, of setting goals. And I always say to people, if it's not written, it's not done. There's a value of having written goals. I write every year my goals for the year, not New Year's resolutions, my goals for the year. Every month, I write my goals for the month. Every week and every day, I spend just a minute the night before, writing, here are the things I want to accomplish that day. Have written goals. But then don't just write them down. Discuss them. Talk to people about them. Make yourself accountable by saying, here's what I'm trying. I'm trying to lose 10 pounds. You say that to a few people, and you're going to think twice before you stop into Dairy Queen and get a banana split. Discuss where you're going and where you've been. There's great value in telling your story. In the 12 steps, we say, every time you tell your story, your shame is cut in half. So tell the story over and over and over again of where you've been. That reminds you of where it is that God is taking you and where you're headed. In chapter 3 of Philippians, Paul starts out with this conversation about where he's been. I was a Hebrew of the Hebrews, as to the law zealous. I persecuted the church. He says the good things and the bad things about where he's been. But then he says, forgetting those things which are behind, I press on. So discuss where you're going and where you've been to have a life of excellence. Number 3, decide to live a life of gratitude. Just decide to be thankful. Decide to live a life of gratitude. We can live a life of complaining, of being frustrated, of negativity, or we can say, I'm going to be thankful. I've told this story so many times, but Doris and I, when I started getting well, when I started my healing 20 years ago, Doris and I developed this habit. We would say every day, we still do this, every day we would say, God, show me one thing today to let me know that you're working on my behalf. And then when we would see that thing, we would profess it. We would say it out loud. We would talk about it that night. I always say sometimes it was a parking place right up in front of Walmart. Sometimes it was a big check in the mail. Whatever it is, choose to be grateful. He says again in chapter 4, he says, rejoice in the Lord always. Verse 4, rejoice in the Lord always. I'll say it again, rejoice. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Don't be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. Be thankful. One of my quotes that I jotted down is the way, I heard this somewhere, the way you do anything is the way you'll do everything. So if you're thankful over little things, you'll just have a life of thankfulness. Choose to do that. Determine, have no examined thoughts. Discuss where you're going, where you've been. Decide to live a life of gratitude. Number 4, dedicate as much time to helping others as to getting ahead yourself. Here's the underwriting theme that I believe. You want to have an excellent life. You want to do things great. You want to make an impact. Help other people. Focus on other people. Make a difference in other people. The 12th step of the 12th step says, having reached a measure of sanity in this program, we sought to take this message of hope to others. Listen, for the last 20 years, Branches has been my 12th step. It's been me trying to help other people because of the help that God gave me. So just decide to spend as much time helping other people as helping yourself. In Galatians chapter 6, not Philippians, but still Paul says in verse 2, bear one another's burdens. So here are the 5 things. Number 1, determine to have no unexamined thoughts. Number 2, discuss where you're going and where you've been. Number 3, decide to live a life of gratitude. And number 4, dedicate as much time to helping others as to helping yourself. And then number 5, do something to make your life better. Do something. My dad used to say, he hated to see me sitting around not doing anything. So you say, do something even if it's wrong. Well, I'm not saying that. I'm saying do something and do the right thing. Here are the 3 things I suggest. Do something every day to make the world a better place. It doesn't have to be much. Yesterday or Saturday at the ball field, every time I'd go out to the car to get something, I'd pick up a piece of trash and put it in the trash can as I walked by. It took 2 seconds, but it just helps a little bit. Do something every day to be sacrificial. Develop the discipline of letting other people go first, of waving somebody on in traffic, of allowing somebody to get in front of you. Just develop a habit of being sacrificial, and then do something every day to get closer to God. Do something every day to make the world better, to be sacrificial, and to be closer to God. They don't have to be big things, but doing these things. Our pastor actually mentioned this yesterday in a sermon, and I had already written this quote down to use this week. I found a quote that said, I have never met a successful person that left his shopping cart out in the parking lot. just the little things help me to live a life of more excellence. And you can do that. You can choose to. You can make up your mind. I encourage you to do that. Paul says finally in Philippians 4:19, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. You can do that. If you, boy, I talked way too long, and I'm sorry. If you like this, subscribe to the YouTube videos. That's helpful, I think. I don't know why, but I think I'm supposed to say that. Share it, make a comment, all those kinds of things. And thank you for being a part of Monday Matters. Have a great day. God bless you.